Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parirajikacharya Astottara Satta Sri Srimad His Divine Grace Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parirajikacharya Astottara Satta Sri Srimad His Divine Grace Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Jai. Iskcon Founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Ananda Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Prem se kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Shamakun Radhakun Giri Govardhan Ki Jai. Shri Vrindavan Dhama Ki Jai. Shri Mayapur Dham Ki Jai. Ganga Mai Ki Jai. Jamuna Mai Ki Jai. Bhakti Devi Ki Jai. Srimati Tulsi Maharani Vrinda Devi Ki Jai. Shri Harinam Sankirtana Ki Jai. Samaveta Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Nitai Gaura Premanande. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga.
Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Jaya Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana. Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana. Jamuna Tira Vanachari. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Jaya Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana. Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana. Jamuna Tira Vanachari. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gora Bhakta Vrinda. Jaya Shri Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shrivasadi Gaura Bhaktavinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada. Jaya Guru Deva, Jaya Guru Deva, Jaya Guru Deva, Jaya Guru Deva. जय ओम विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिवगाचार्य स्तोत्र सत श्री डिवाइन ग्रेस AC भक्तिवेदांत स्वामी श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वती व्यासं ततो जायमुदीरयेत्। नष्टप्रायेषु अभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया Bhagavati Uttama Shloke
Bhagavati Uttama Shloke
Bhaktir Bhavati Neshtaki. Hare Krishna. So today we are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 7, Chapter 5, text number 5. Please kindly repeat after me. Shri Prahlad Uvacha Tat Sadhu Manye Asurat Varya Dehinam Sada Samudvikna Dhiyam Asadgrahat Hitvatma patam graham andhakupam vanam gato yad dharim ashrayeta. Shri Prahlad Uvacha Tat sadhu manye asurvarya dehinam Sada samudvigna dhiyam asadgrahat Hitvatma patam graham andhakupam Vanam gato yad dharim ashrayet. Please chant. Shri Prahlad Vacha Tat sadhu manye asurvarya dehinam Sada samudvigna dhiyam asadgrahat Hitatmagatam graham andhakupam Vanam gato yad dharim ashrayat. Tat sadhu manye asuraderya dehinam Sada samudvigna dhiyam asadgrahat Hitvatma patam graham andhakupam Vanam gato yadharim ashrayeta. Thank you. Tat sadhu manye asurya dehinam Sada samudvigna dhiyam asadgrahat Hitvatma patam graham andhakupam Vanam gato yadharim ashrayeta.
Tat sadhu manye asuravarya dehinam
Tat sadhu manye asuravarya dehinam
Sada samudvigna dhiyam asadgrahat
Rasamudvigna sadgata
Hitvatma patam griham andhakupam
Atmapatam graham andhakupam
Manam gato yadharim ashrayeta.
Vanam gato yadharim ashrayeta. Anyone else? You? Shri Prahlad Uvacha Tat sadhu manye asurvarya dehinam Hitvatmapatam graham andhakupam vanam gato yadharim ashrayeta. Okay, thank you very much. Now we'll do together word per word meaning. Shri Prahlad Uvacha, Prahlad Maharaj replied, Tat, that, sadhu, very good, or the best part of life. Manye, I think, Asura Varya, O king of the Asuras, Dehinam, of persons who have accepted the material body. Sada, always, Samudvigna, full of anxieties. Dhiyam, whose intelligence, Asat Grahat, because of accepting the temporary body or bodily relations as real thing. I am the body and everything belonging to this body is mine. Hitva, giving up. Atmapatam, the place where spiritual culture or self-realization is stopped. Graham, the bodily concept of life or household life. Andhakupam, which is nothing but a blind well, where there is no water but one is the water. Vanam, to the forest. Gata, going. Yat, which. Harim, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Ashrayeta, may take shelter of. Now the translation and the purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. So we can take turn reading the translation and purport.
Prahlad Maharaj replied, O best of the Asuras, king of the demons, as far as I have learned from my spiritual master, any person who has accepted a temporary body and temporary household life is certainly embarrassed by anxiety because of having fallen in a dark well where there is no water but only suffering. One should give up this position and go to the forest, Vana. More clearly, one should go to Vrindavan where only Krishna consciousness is prevalent and should thus take shelter of the Supreme Personality of Godhead.
Thank you. Would you like to?
Hiranyakashipu thought that Prahlad, being nothing but a small boy with no actual experience, might reply with something pleasing but nothing practical. Prahlad Maharaj, however, being an exalted devotee, had acquired all the qualities of education. Vijaksti bhaktir bhagavati akinchanam sarvais gunatatra samassate sura harava bhaktya kutomahad guna manorate nasti davotabahi. One who has unflinching devotional faith in Krishna consistently manifests all the good qualities of Krishna and the demigods. However, he who has no devotion to the Supreme Personality of Godhead has not good qualifications because he is engaged by material concoction in material existence, which is the external feature of the Lord. Bhagavatam 5.18-12. So-called educated philosophers and scientists who are simply on the material platform cannot distinguish between what is actually Sat, eternal, and what is Asat, temporary. The Vedic injunction is Asatoma Jyotirgama. Everyone should give up the platform of temporary existence and approach the eternal platform. The soul is eternal, and topics concerning the eternal soul are actually knowledge. Elsewhere it is said, Apashyatam atmatatvam griyeshu griya medinam. Those who are attached to the bodily conception of life and who thus stick to life as a grihasta or householder on the platform of material sense enjoyment cannot see the welfare of the eternal soul. Prahlad Maharaj confirmed this by saying that if one wants success in life, he should immediately understand from the right sources what his self-interest is and how he should mold his life in spiritual consciousness. One should understand himself to be part and parcel of Krishna and thus completely take shelter of his lotus feet for guaranteed spiritual success. Everyone in the material world is in the bodily conception, struggling hard for existence, life after life. Prahlad Maharaj therefore recommended that to stop this material condition of repeated birth and death, one should go to the forest, Vana.
Thank you. Krishna, would you like to read?
In the Varnashra system, one first becomes a brahmachari, then a grahastha, a vanaprastha, and finally a sannyasi. Going to the forest means accepting vanaprastha life, which is between grahastha life and sannyasi. As confirmed in the Vishnu Purana 389, Varnashram Char Avata Parushena Paraha Pramuna Vishnur Adradhaya. By accepting the institution of Varna and Ashram, one can very easily elevate himself to the platform of worshiping Vishnu, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Otherwise, if one remains in the bodily conception, one must rot within this material world, and his life will be a failure. Society must have divisions of Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, and Sudra. And for spiritual advancement, one must gradually develop as a brahmachari, grahastra, vanaprastha, and sannyasi. Prahlad Maharaj recommended that his father accept vanaprastha life because, as a grahastra, he was becoming increasingly demonic due to bodily attachment. Prahlad recommended to his father that accepting vanaprastha life would be better than going deeper and deeper into Gram and Ha Kupam, the blind well of life as a grihastra. In our Krishna consciousness movement, we therefore invite all the elderly persons of the world to come to Vrindavan and stay there in retired life, making an advancement in spiritual consciousness, Krishna consciousness.
Actually, someone can fix this. It's going. Okay, yeah. Thank you so much. Om Jnanam Timiram Dhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurumilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namah. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimati Giriraj Swami Iti Namne. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namne. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pacharane Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashatya Deshatarine. Hare Krishna, and thank you very much for being here. I seek your blessings so I may speak something beneficial, spiritually beneficial to all of us. Today we are starting this new chapter, chapter 5. And yesterday, what was the main focus yesterday? Does anybody remember? Right, yeah. Full absorption in Krishna, yes. And so today, Prahlad Maharaj is going to advise how one can do that. So, here, just to give little snapshot of the summary of this chapter, that, now Prahlad is ready for education. So his father, Hiranyakashipu, sent him to Shanda and Amarka, who are the sons of the spiritual master of the demons, Shukracharya. So they are Shukracharya's son. So the school was nearby. So Hiranyakashipu sent him to school. And of course, Prahlad Maharaj, being a devotee of the Lord, was not really interested in so-called education. They were teaching economic development, politics, and some, other worldly topics and matters. So he was not really interested, even though he would, do whatever teachers would ask. But his interest was not there. Especially, he did not like the concept of discriminating between friends and enemies. For him, for a devotee, he looks at everybody as part and parcel of Krishna, so he does not discriminate. So that was difficult for him to accept. Anyway, once he comes home and his father, lovingly places him on his lap and asks him that, tell me, so far, what have you learned? What is the best thing you have learned from your teachers so far? Just like any other father would ask, So Prahlad Maharaj takes this opportunity, being a pure devotee, like actually all the devotees, whenever they get an opportunity, what do? They talk about Krishna or topics related to Krishna, devotional service. So similarly, since Hiranyakashipu, his father, did not ask any specific question, he just generally say, what is the best thing? So he sort of, let's tell the truth. So Prahlad Maharaj replies, though this verse today is the reply of Prahlad Maharaj to his father's question. So he says that, we just read that whoever has accepted these temporary material bodies, and especially the household life, is full of anxieties, right? Full of distress all the time. So in order for him to get out of this distress and make some spiritual progress, one should leave everything and go to the forest. Yes. And of course, do you think Hiranyakashipu was very happy to hear that? No. He had spent so many years, just 5 years back, he had come back from years of penance and austerities. And what was his goal? To enjoy, to become the master and enjoyer. And so now if someone tells him that, leave everything and go to the forest, of course he won't be pleased. So anyone actually, even, you can imagine this day and age also, everybody is working hard day and night. Why? They think, when they retire, they will enjoy. But does that really happen? Yeah. By the time you retire, you are so old, you can hardly do anything, right? So anyway, so that when Prahlad said, so for us, this day and age actually, going to the forest means to mentally detach ourselves from the family life. It is not recommended actually to go to the forest. In Srimad Bhagavatam, we see so many examples where many personalities left home and went to the forest when the time came, right? Does anybody know any examples can think of? Yeah, Pandavas, they left home. And?
Rishabhadev.
Rishabhadev, yes. And Kardamba Muni, right?
Deva says the deer guy. The deer guy?
Deer guy? Prahlad? Yes. Dhruva Maharaj. No, Dhruva Maharaj left for some other reason, but, because it is very difficult in family life to be detached, while living, if you are not Krishna conscious, Fortunately, in this period in Kali Yuga, we are actually very fortunate by the mercy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Srila Prabhupada. We can, just by chanting, eating, dancing, we can achieve the goal of life, to remember Krishna all the time, right? The goal of life is to remember Krishna and never forget Krishna, right? So it is very difficult when you are not Krishna conscious and you are fully absorbed in the dealings and relations and money and wife and children to be Krishna conscious all the time, right? To do something spiritually where you can get free from the cycle of birth and death. it's very difficult. So that's why Prahlad Maharaj, he knows his father's situation, Like Srila Prabhupada writes in the purport that he's becoming more and more demoniac, actually. And yesterday, Radha Krishna Prabhu said that even though he had gained all this power, but was he happy? No, he was dissatisfied. It is said, actually, someplace, Srila Prabhupada said that brahmacharis are most blissful or anxiety-free. Because he said, we can test ourselves how much Krishna conscious we are, depending on how much anxiety we have. More you are in anxiety, that means, we need to go further in Krishna consciousness. So he's recommending to his father that to go to forest, and that means fully surrendering. Actually, going to forest means he's taking full shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord, fully surrendering. Because just imagine if you are in the forest and there is nobody to help you, naturally you depend more on the Supreme Lord. That's just natural, Whereas at home we can, without, of course, Krishna consciousness, no matter how much you try, it's not possible. There are so many distractions at home, right? So many dealings we have to take care of, and the relationships and etc. And here Prahlad Maharaj, he's comparing to family life to a blind well, deep, dark, blind well. And it's like, you are walking in the fields, and then all of a sudden you fall into a deep, dark well. And no matter how much you cry for help, chances are nobody will hear you. And you can cry for years, nobody will hear you, and ultimately, what is waiting for us? Death. So similarly, if we remain engrossed in family life, unfortunately, the aim of human life will be lost. You will again take birth, and then the cycle will go on. So that is the problem. Being Krishna consciousness, being Krishna conscious, it's naturally happening without you even, separately trying. If you are fully engaged, of course. I was going to say something. Okay, it will come to me, I guess. Prematurely going to, it is said that you have to be disgusted with family life before you can renounce or detach, So that is roughly like age of 50, usually, people naturally become tired of same thing again and again. So they start thinking about, what is the goal of life, the actual goal of life. In olden days, like Srila Prabhupada writes in the purport about Varnashram system, where, it was naturally the system was set up in a way that while fulfilling the needs of our body and other things, naturally we, were also able to make progress spiritually. Like in brahmacharya, because for spiritual progress, it is very important to have sense control. Right? So when people will be in brahmachari ashram for it until age 25, so that fully train them for later, even during grahastha life. Once I think I was listening to His Holiness Jayadvaita Maharaj's class. He was talking about, like, someone asked him that, I'm going to get married, what advice do you give me? So he says that enter married life as if you are entering vanaprastha life. So, being detached. Recently, not recently, actually some time back, someone has written a book, or somewhere I read, Dying Before Dying. What does that mean? That, practicing detachment from everything else and trying to be fully absorbed in, taking shelter of the Lord and fully being surrendered to the Lord, depending on Him. So I thought that was, nice, even though it was written by some materialists, but, dying before dying. So any comment? Yeah, you know who wrote? Bhakti Tirtha Swami? Okay. Yeah, that was a long time ago I had heard. I kind of, when I was kind of preparing for the class, I thought, oh yeah, it's like detaching, Any comments so far? Any input? Or some thoughts came to your mind to, yes, Nandasuna Prabhu.
I wanted to ask how would family life look if it's not a dark well, like for the devotees?
Mm-hmm. Well, actually there are two types of family lives. Grihastha ashram. There are two types. One being grihastha, where the members of the family, the main goal is to please the Lord. The main focus is pleasing the Lord. And whereas the other family life is called Grahamedi, that means that the main goal of their members is to fulfill their own desires. They always be thinking of sense gratification for themselves and no mention of being God conscious. So that's called Grihamedi. Medi also means envious. The one Grihamedi is envious of other Grihamedi. Why? Because they don't want anybody else to even material life. They don't want to. They are just jealous of the Lord and jealous of each other. And in trained family life or Grihastha ashram, members are helping each other progress in devotional life. Jai Shri Shri Radha Nila Madhav ki Jai, Radha Giridhari ki Jai, Giriraj Govardhan ki Jai, Nitai Gaurachandra Nitai Chaitanya Chandra ki Jai. Right. So then that means, they are helping each other. They are helping each other to elevate and become more and more Krishna conscious. So in end of life, they can remember Krishna, and by remembering Krishna, we'll go back to Him, and we will develop our love for Him. That's the aim, goal of a Grihastha ashram. Anyone else has input?
Hare Krishna. I just was noticing that, Krishna tells to Arjuna a completely different instruction to not go to the forest, while Prahlad Maharaj tells to go to the forest. I was just thinking that instructions are very dependent on the context as well.
Yeah, I couldn't. Sorry, I didn't. Do you know what he said?
Yeah, no, I can repeat. So Arjuna has been told by Krishna to do not go to the forest. Well, now we have Prahlad Maharaj tell you, no, you need to go to the forest. Like two completely different, opposite instructions, which are very dependent on the context. I guess.
Yes, that's true. Yeah, because like he was, Nandasuna Prabhu was also saying, what is the difference between having ideal grihastha life versus the being in the dark well. When because in grihastha life they are doing everything. It's not like they are not taking care of family matters or each other. They are doing everything, but under the directions of spiritual master, under the direction of the Supreme Lord, following scriptural injunctions and everything. So they are doing everything but for Krishna. And that's what actually Arjuna was asked by Lord Krishna, right? Do everything, but under my direction. Do it for me, right? So it's kind of same, actually. Thank you for bringing that up. Very nice thinking.
I was just thinking about like how society today, we're all focused on like our purpose in life in terms of connecting that to our work, and how, like, what we can do to feel like we're doing something for the world, to have fulfillment in the world. And so with that, I'm thinking like with the Varna ashram system, and how, like, how can, like in society, how can we get to a point where it's not like, how can I fulfill the purpose that I want to fulfill, but like it's Krishna's purpose? Like how, I guess that, I don't know what my question is, but I'm just, I guess, commenting on how we're all very much based on our own fulfillment and the work that we do or the occupation that we're in, and how that is not really directed toward Krishna, or how we can start doing that a little bit more.
Yeah, I think I got what you are saying. So even even like regular work, you go to work. So you just your consciousness, our consciousness should be that this is something Krishna has planned for me. So I'm going to do the best of my ability. Once you are practicing Krishna consciousness, once you are trying to be a devotee, then Krishna, everything is being done by Krishna. So if you are going to work, so do the best you can and give the results of that activity to Krishna. So basically we have to kind of evaluate ourselves now and then to see how much are we giving to Krishna, how much of the results of our activities are we engaging in activities of Iskcon, right? And like that. Prabhuji would like to say something.
I was thinking that there's a saying, right? Physician, heal thyself. So when you practice Krishna consciousness, when you do it properly and you make the changes in your life and so on, you see the results in itself. And once you know it works, then you can actually help others. So in that way, we can help the greater society.
Yes, Mataji. Niladri Mataji. No, that's okay. Other people like to know.
I just wanted to comment about the marriage. The Brahmachari Prabhuji was talking about marriage. Even though the marriage among devotees is better, there is no happy marriage. The marriage could be better between devotees. It is better between devotees because they help each other in their spiritual life. But still there's the attachment to the family and engagement in family affairs and disagreements, because if we are in the spirit, in the material world, we are still going to have disagreements. So my opinion is that the best is not to get married. The misery is there, the problems with the children, they get sick, they start they're teenagers going out and you don't know what to do with them, and all that is really, really upsetting. So when people keep single, it's a lot better for spiritual pursuit, right?
Yeah. Very good, frankly speaking, right. Actually, there is a very nice episode in Chaitanya Charit. Oh, okay, sorry.
I think Niladri Mataji made a good point, but what we have to understand is Grihamedi means you're in a dark well, you can't see where you're going. Grihastha means you're in the dark well, but you have a light at the end, so you can at least go towards the light. Yeah, okay.
Asatoma sadgamaya jyot, something like that, right, in the purport. So, yeah, actually there is a nice example in Chaitanya Charitamrita where Mahaprabhu asks Raghunath Das Goswami to go back because he had come to see Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He's a very young man at that point, and he's son of a very wealthy family. So he wants to join Chaitanya Mahaprabhu very much, but of course father is not very happy, you know. So they want him to stay in family life. So one time, after insisting a lot, his father sends him to see Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in Shantipur, I think. And then when he goes there, even he's with Mahaprabhu, but he's always thinking that how I can, because father has sent several watch guards, you know, watchmen, to make sure that he doesn't run away to Jagannath Puri. So even when he's there, Raghunath Das Goswami always thinking that how he can get free from the hands of these guards. So Mahaprabhu being all-knowing, he finds, you know, he knows what Raghunath Das Goswami is thinking. So he tells him, he instructs him very nicely. He says to go back right now, you go back home and enjoy material life, meaning outwardly, you know, do everything, you know, take care of everything your family asks you. But inwardly be fixed in Krishna consciousness and just wait for the time when it's right time. And then in the purport, actually, Srila Prabhupada quotes Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur Maharaj. He's saying that don't be a Markata Vairagi, meaning monkey renunciant. You know, monkeys seem to be very renounced, right? They don't wear any clothes. They eat, you know, fruits and vegetables, and you know, they live in the forest. So you know, outwardly they are looking like very much renounced, but actually monkeys are always with dozens of female monkeys, you know, enjoying sense gratification. So Maharaj is saying that don't, you know, Bhaktisiddhanta Maharaj, don't be like that. Also in the, actually in the translation of the verse is said, don't be a show bottle renunciant, you know. So just for show, you know, inside the rivers of desires are flowing and you are always, you know, in that mood, enjoying mood, but outwardly you have worn, you know, orange clothes or, you know, like that. So there is another example, it's called Falgur Vairagi. Falgur Vairagi means there is a river in Bihar region of India. That river, when you see, it's just dry sand. You think, oh, this river is dry. But if you walk on it, there is a lot of water. Actually, you will fall in the water. On top is dry sand, but underneath water. Similarly, if we renounce prematurely, then sometimes we are not ready. So, you know, the rivers of desires will be flowing in your heart. It will be difficult. So you are not here, not there, right? So it is important to, you know, get to that stage naturally by practicing Krishna consciousness all through the life. It will be like Prahlad Maharaj is asking his father to go to the forest. It will be hard because all his life only he thought of himself, you know. So then it's different. Other good point here, Srila Prabhupada, or in the translation is saying that go to Vrindavan. And that also because Vrindavan is conducive, the environment is conducive to becoming absorbed in Krishna consciousness. You know, in family life, if you stay, no matter how much you try, like Mataji is saying, always there are distractions. Distractions are there, like Niladri Mataji is saying. But when you are in Vrindavan, then everything you see, you do, you hear is regarding Krishna. So naturally, it's much easier to be absorbed in the thoughts of Krishna. And just like Krishna being very attractive, Krishna means, you know, all attractive. Similarly, Vrindavan is also all attractive. So I haven't met anybody who does not like Vrindavan. So, so naturally, it's also there is no difference between Krishna and Vrindavan. So it is. Of course, you know, where our consciousness, again, if sometimes I have seen people go to Vrindavan, they are looking for 10-bedroom home, you know. So then that won't help. You have to be, you know, reduce your enjoying mentality and be focused more on thoughts of Krishna. That's what it means. And Srila Prabhupada saying, he has our Iskcon centers in any place actually. Even like here, this is Vrindavan, right? There is no difference between our Hare Krishna Dham, Houston, and Vrindavan. If we come here regularly, see the deities, we take association of the devotees. Sometimes, I have seen a lot of people, I see them a lot for some time, and then they don't come. So sometimes I'll ask, I haven't seen, don't see you, this and that. So then some of them will say, well, this place really doesn't inspire me, so I'm now more doing at home or this or that. So, but the inspiration comes by coming and by reading, by chanting, by associating with the other devotees. I was listening to one of His Holiness Tamal Krishna Maharaj's lecture, where he is saying that, how important it is to come to the temple and take darshan of the deities and be in the temple for some time, every day. He said, you can do everything at home, but you cannot do one thing, no matter what, at home. So what is that, you think? Huh? Somebody, yeah? Yeah, he said devotees, you can, yeah. Right. So but that's the thing. So it's very, very important to get the association. Without association, it is very, very difficult then to make any progress. Would you like to say something, Rashmi? Roshni. Okay. So yes, going to Vrindavan can be in any center of, Srila Prabhupada has given us, but the thing is, we have to regularly come and get inspired, because it is very scientific actually, that it does work, because it does work. Because after all, it's Krishna's mercy that we make progress. So, and Krishna is a person. So, and like, for example, if you go see someone you like, regularly, definitely he's going to also reciprocate similarly, right? And if no matter how much you tell someone you like, but do nothing for them, don't go see them. So what does that tell you, right? So Krishna is person. He reciprocates. When you come regularly, sees the sincerity, right? You all agree? Any thoughts or input? Reflections? Yes, Gandiva.
Can you scroll down a tiny bit, Petita? Can you scroll down? I like the word choice of is certainly embarrassed by anxiety, because we're not actually supposed to be anxious. In the spiritual world, we're always happy and stuff. So.
Right, embarrassed meaning, sometimes we don't want to show. Right? So we know that this is not our natural position, but still we can't help it. So being in anxiety when you are not in Krishna consciousness.
I also liked your point about anxiety earlier. We can measure our Krishna consciousness by our anxiety levels, our faith in the Lord ultimately. But one reflection I was having is Prahlad Maharaj, in a sense, was minding his own business. I mean, a lot of this chapter is the dichotomy of this person attacking this very innocent, unprovoking child. But when Hiranyakashipu inquired, what did you learn today? Prahlad Maharaj did not hesitate to speak honestly. It wasn't that he was going to Hiranyakashipu preaching and like that, but he was being himself, and then when asked, he was, okay, this is what I know, this is who I am, this is what's in me. And I think that gentle honesty is very powerful. So in this context, I was just kind of playing it out in my mind. What are the dynamics, the energetic dynamics, and how Prahlad Maharaj was Prahlad Maharaj. He just loved Krishna.
And his purity comes through in all the verses.
Yeah.
That's true. All right. Krishna Kripa Prabhu. One more line.
Early part of the class, when they gave this, it says it's a dark well where there is no water. Two complications come up. I mean, I generally try to keep the Bhagavatam verse contextual to what's going on, but this says some very specific things, and I tend to take it literally. Two problems with a dark well that has no water in it. One, nobody comes there. And two, the only way to fall into it is through carelessness or being thrown, which could, if we contextually refer that back to an arranged marriage, which does happen in India. People pick out their wives and husbands and etc. through a lot of conversation. But if you fall into a dry well, they're generally 50, 60 feet down. You're going to be broken. And you don't have any hope of getting yourself out. And you're embarrassed because you fell into it in the beginning. And unless someone just happens by and looks in the well, they're not even going to see you. Are you just going to scream for the next 4 hours, 5 hours, or, there's really no way of getting out of this. So to me, one should be very, very careful in their selection of how they want to live their life. Hence, Prahlad Maharaj is saying this at 5 years old. One should be very careful, because he also gets married later on in life, and he runs the kingdom. But one should be extremely careful in where one places their next step in their life in order to avoid the darkness of ignorance. Therefore, we need counsel, parents, guru, sadhus. We need light, so we don't fall into such dark places in the dark. And we need basic guidance as to what is our duty in life. Jai Shri Shri Radha Nila Madhava.
Ki jai, Radha Giridhari ki jai, Giriraj Govardhan ki jai, Nitai Gaurachandra Nitai Chaitanya Chaitanya.
So at 5 years old, Prahlad Maharaj has apparently learned some things about what he's going to do with the rest of his life. And he has every single option available to him, and yet he's still making careful plans.
Right. Yeah. Never take things for granted. Yeah. Just because we are in Krishna consciousness doesn't mean we become careless, right? Yeah. That's true. Thank you very much. Granthraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Thank you very much.